Okay, so we are here.
I see. Okay. I see. Whoa! I see the Inception mirror of.
Yeah. For the intro of this video, because that's what YouTubers do, right? We
Yeah.
bootleg, we bootleg YouTubers. Um, Cinematic Captures did a competition where we basically submit a bunch of short films. So what we're gonna do is just brutally judge everyone else. That's essentially. Does that sum it up? Do you think?
Yeah, that sounds pretty close. But then make it clear. I mean, ours isn't really that much better.
Yeah. Oh, and
So
yeah. I do want to say that we aren't official
apparently
judges
rainfall.
whatsoever. We are in fact contenders, but
Yeah.
we're honestly in all seriousness, we're just giving constructive criticism to everyone else's submissions.
I made a quick YouTube playlist with some of the ones that I would like to take a look at, so I can send you that.
Okay.
Ooh, I need to watch that Yoda one.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. We'll get there when we get there.
That was terrifying. My parents were like, "Oh yeah, that's pretty good," and I was like, "You kidding me? That is traumatizing." I mean, yeah, I suppose it's good, but terrifying.
Okay. So first off, Frontier by Cut
Oh, do we need
Content.
to do that? Do we need to do the
What am I doing?
intro?
I did the intro.
That was the actual intro.
Yeah. When I was going, yeah, we're just brutally judging people. Yeah, that was the intro.
Okay.
Okay. That was pretty good, I think.
Yeah, I'd say that was pretty good. A couple things I know is one thing when we were looking from the POV of the tank and it got hit and the camera just jerked to the side. I actually love that. That was a really interesting choice that I think was really cool.
I was gonna kind of complain about that more, just because if it's collapsing, since it's on an arm, I would think that would be like at least a two stop thing, not just a straight like point A point B. Like I would think it'd be more like a point A B C kind of motion at least. So it did kind of feel it felt
I mean,
stiff to me, but like yeah,
You don't want to overwhelm the audience, and it still has to like go from where it is to a place that still shows, you know, the good. And it felt it accomplished what they were going for.
right.
Assuming they were going for like oh, this tank just got destroyed. Boom, I mean, that's the feeling you got. I think that worked pretty well. The one thing I would say, the motion was a little bit janky. But I mean, at the same time, animation is hard. But like the motion of the actors, you know.
but
Yeah,
again,
their
yeah, there are
falling I
some.
liked. The falling motions, like anytime one of them like shot and fell like that, and the gravity with that was pretty good.
Yeah.
The Jedi when
Yes.
he came in, that the Jedi's movement was kind
Yeah.
of weird.
Yeah, I mean, I again, and also, it's like you can't expect filmmakers level like this guy and me and you like afford expensive motion capture stuff.
Right. Yeah.
That just doesn't. You just can't expect that. So the motion isn't gonna be amazing, top notch. It's really good. I'm gonna guess the falls. Let's say like me and you were making this. Let's say I was making this in Blender, right, rather than Unreal. I'm like, okay, I can animate a guy walking forward or turning around and shooting. I can do that. But when it comes to the falls, that's going to be kind of intimidating. So this is what I would do, and I'm guessing probably went to Mixamo and got like downloaded the animation, which there's nothing wrong with that. That's
Yeah, there's nothing
completely
wrong with
fine.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, and they looked good, and I think if the falls didn't look good, it would kind of just make the whole thing go down a few points versus the motion and the rest. It didn't necessarily take away from the story, right?
Yeah,
It
because you
took
can
it.
you can tell more or less. Not that I'm a professional animator, but it just looks like these are more or less custom animated, and like with just the simplicity of how they're moving. So it's definitely
Yeah.
it does make sense that they would have downloaded preset fall animations, and then everything else is just done custom.
One thing that really did it this would be like probably an 8 for me if it weren't for at the very end the dialogue.
The dialogue was. I
I
forgot about that. Yeah, the
understand.
dialogue I couldn't understand what he was saying at all.
I heard general, and this is a problem least I personally feel with our own film, it's a little hard to understand what we're saying. But in this case, I only got the word general. That is the only word that I heard and understood. So, but that being said, it's fine because it was so late in the game and stuff. I still got the story.
I have a message from the other bounty hunter. Boba Fett. He caught up with the boy. He wants to report.
I lost him.
That is most disappointing.
He got lucky.
Did you bring me anything of value, Bounty Hunter?
Not much. Just his name. Skywalker.
I'm pregnant. That's wonderful.
Where is Ed? Is she safe? Is she all right?
It seems in your anger, you killed her.
I couldn't. She was alive. I felt it. I have a son.
Alright. I had goosebumps in that one. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, that was great.
I like that one. The camera work.
Visually, the camera work is like the framing is not necessarily, something you'd see in a Hollywood blockbuster. But I mean, man,
they kept the 180 rule. That's what I like the most, is that they kept the 180 rule throughout, so they at least knew that much, which I can respect.
Yeah, and oh my gosh, the colors, red and black and orange, and the way it gave this almost like a blood or a fire feel. Epic. And I love they're telling the story of him learning that he had a son, which is something that happened. It's not like he, just knew.
Yeah, that is true. They never did mention how he knew he had a son.
Yeah, I think in Star Wars lore they talk about that, Vader, I think it was Boba Fett, sent Boba Fett to find out who it was that killed the Death Star, or that destroyed the Death Star, or something like that. I don't remember the specifics, but, I really like that. And that was a solid 8.5 out of 10, if not a 9. Probably a 9.
I'd give this a 9. The only thing keeping me from a 10, I think, is just some music jank at the 2-minute mark. Hold on, let me listen to this again real quick. Yeah, it's not like it ends at the cut. Like, it ends a little after the cut. So there is that. That's kind of keeping me from the 10. But other than that, it was good. I liked it. The callbacks with the dialogue, I liked. The camera work was fantastic. You knew what was happening. Like, the dialogue told the story well enough to where you knew. And they also did kind of what we tried to do, which we'll review ours later, but where we kind of tried to do kind of facial expressions through the helmets, just by how they're positioned. They did that really well with Darth Vader, I think. So it's all a 9 out of 10.
Star Wars Legend by the Alf Creations?
The Alf Creations? I think so.
I mean, That wasn't bad. Some room for improvement, I would say, but a few of the shots have like definitely have some potential. Like I like the oneer on the experimental TIE fighter where we're just like it stays in the exact same spot in the camera, and we follow it around, and like the way the light plays off it. That's really cool. But one thing, at least for me, that stood out a lot was the camera was all over the place. Like, I mean, I love camera movement. If I can put camera movement in a shot, I will. That's like I feel like you're the same way. Like, that was in our first film, Retronym, we were trying to, me and you both looked at it and we were like, this needs handheld, right? We wanted more handheld camera just so we could have some movement. But with the like precise calculated movement that you get from an animated camera, right, mixed with how often they moved and like the amount of times they moved in one shot, it just felt like, and we're going over here now, and now we're going over here, and then we're gonna go over here, and just kind of it became a little disorienting.
There was a time around the 25-second point where they threw in some VR stuff, which I thought was an interesting choice. The part where the clones walked in at 30, like between 30 seconds and like 45-ish, and like obviously that all leads into one big one shot, which I was impressed, I'm impressed that they chose to do that, because I haven't seen that because like I've already seen some of these, just for context of the video. I've already seen some of these things and no one's done that so far, so I thought that was a good choice. Like, well, it's a creative choice, I'll say that, but it did seem like at least that first part over between like the 30 and 40-second part, it seemed to drag on before it really started getting interesting, because like after you get past them getting through the door at 45 seconds, you actually start seeing things. The camera work's a little odd, but I mean it's all right. I don't really know what happened at a minute 10 where he went. I don't know who's there. I don't know who. I assume that's supposed to be like Darth Vader or something. I don't know. Doesn't seem like it though.
Yeah.
But then there's that. Then it blacks out and it becomes really choppy. And then for the rest of the thing, the rendering, it seems very choppy. And then I think it gets a little bit smoother when they get on the outside of the Star Destroyer with the guy, but it's still a little choppy then. So that's a rendering issue. I'm not going to hold that against them. Although that could have been better. I still have no idea what was supposed to be happening between 110 and 117, because I didn't hear any dialogue, and I feel like there was supposed to be some. That's what that seemed like anyway. And then I don't really know what's happening with the guy on the Star Destroyer, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt that that's just for creative effect.
I'm gonna guess they added, changed, or their render failed and they had to re-render, or they somehow lost this end bit with what we think is Darth Vader. Because if you go and look at that, you'll notice that it becomes instantly like 2 or 3 times as grainy.
Yeah.
Like as if they had to render it at a lower, and therefore and then later on with a lower frame rate. So I'm gonna guess what happened is they ran out of time on this. Because if you think about it, something like this is pretty intense to make in a couple months. Like I'm also gonna guess. I don't think this is supposed to be Darth Vader. Actually, now I'm looking at it because I can see
that's what I was gonna say. Because he doesn't look like Darth Vader. His helmet kind of looks like it, but I really don't know who this is supposed to be. It is a Star Wars legend, so maybe it's some character I haven't heard of before.
Yeah, I think it's some kind of Sith Lord or Sith something during the like Imperial phase.
Right.
See,
I think it was a rendering issue. I don't think there was any issue with the animation or time. I think it was simply they rendered it and a glitch happened, and that was about it. Like as far as that goes, because it becomes grainy, it goes black, and then it returns with a lower frame rate. So it's almost like the computer went, "Oh, I can't handle this," and then it said, "I just give up," and then it came back like, "Okay, I caught my breath. Here's what we got." So
I'm gonna think the black was a creative choice because not only is the frame rate lower, but I feel like the motion is slowed down a little bit.
I don't think the black is intentional.
I think it was a creative choice because I think they meant to put a fade on there. So like fade to black and then back.
You know what?
in.
Maybe.
But here's my theory. They ran out of time, and so they render, because if you'll notice, when you go from the hand raise to the outside, all of a sudden the frame rate is back. But then when we go to the oneer that I was talking about that I love, all of a sudden the frame rate goes back to being extremely choppy. So what I'm gonna guess is they didn't go just like straight through. They like did it in sections.
Oh yeah, they
Because
probably did do this in sections.
Too much time on animation and modeling, because if you look at the guy in the very beginning, so like, because like if you look at like his chest and stuff, he looks like some kind of Mandalorian, but then his helmet does not look Mandalorian. His legs don't look Mandalorian. So I'm guessing they kit bashed a lot of the elements that they used. So I'm gonna guess they spent too much time on that and animation and ran out of time for rendering. So I think it's enough that it got enough of the story across, and the visuals are really cool. I think if they had a little bit more time, this could have been a really good piece. But as it is, I would say it's probably like a 6 out of 10. I would say.
All right,
Next one.
Converse Strike, a Star Wars Remnant fan film. This one's got a really wide.
Yeah, I would say it's in widescreen. Oh, I already can tell I'm gonna like this. Let's see. Not gonna lie, that was pretty epic.
That was pretty good. I liked it.
I love that one.
They definitely got some face. They definitely have a lot of motion tracking stuff going on. Like the face, like when the guy was talking, it was definitely tracking. So they've got some motion capture stuff. The animation is amazing. They have it's not just straight like things flying in the air. Like they're actually having like the subtle movements. There's also reflections. I don't know if you noticed, but so at like 56 seconds, when the A-wings start popping out, like there are reflections of the planet, and then it just kind of doles out when it reflects space. Like, and obviously that's not credit to the guy. That's obviously the engine. So I don't want to give credit where it's not due, but I will say the flight patterns of the A-wings was good.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, I one thing, it's a little bitty thing, but I love that they did it. At 1 minute, they used the classic Star Wars shot. Like, I cannot tell you how many times I've seen this shot in Star Wars where it's from behind pilot, in the middle of the cockpit, looking past them, but the focus is on something like that they're flying towards. But it's like the two people talking to each other or whatever. Classic shot. I love it that they use this. Really, the only critique I would have would be the lip syncing. It's not the greatest. That being said, fine. Yeah, does it detract from the story? No.
Yeah, and I didn't notice. Like, I mean, I did notice that the lip syncing was a little janky, but first thing came to mind was, okay, he's using a motion capture. There was the one nitpicking thing I picked out was, where is this at?
Don't let them escape. They won't get past.
Oh yeah, at around like 26, 27, they have this little dialogue bit where they're like, "Don't let them escape," and then they won't get past us. And I feel like that was just kind of cheesy. And I mean, if they're going, and honestly, let's give them the benefit of the doubt that they're going for the George Lucas bad dialogue gimmick. then great. I mean, fine, they did what they meant to do. But in that respect, though, like actually speaking, that dialogue I don't think was needed, because obviously these guys came out as support, and then the other thing destroyed them. And like clearly they're there to keep him from getting away. Like they don't need that dialogue there, and the dialogue itself seemed kind of I was really impressed with the intro scene, because that intro with the ships flying in, that looks like a movie. Like that looks like something I would see in a Star Wars movie. Okay, so we've seen this before. We already kind of talked about this, but for the video, obviously the contrast and exposure are both way too high, I think. because the lighting,
Yeah,
especially.
Here's the thing. The exposure was fine for most of it, except that one shot. Like, can you show it to him, Jared? This one shot, the exposure is way too high, and it's such an easy fix. You know, it's an animation. You can just go.
Yeah, and like I'm looking at this next stormtrooper part at like 150, and he looks fine. So yeah, it is really just this one shot. The camera work, I don't want to leave that untouched. The camera work is really janky. With like how it whips around,
Again, that's one thing. Like in the overexposed shot, that's one where the camera, I would say the camera was pretty good. It was framed well, and it was moving nice and slow, and kind of looked like it was on like a jib or something.
Yeah.
So,
well, I'm just thinking about like 48, like around the 48 second mark to probably like the 1 minute mark, and then it's fine. And then when they get to the light speed part, they do a bunch of different camera angles as they're going in.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just weird.
The one thing is I don't like the zoom they do there. Like it immediately makes me think of stuff like mockumentaries.
Yeah, making obvious. Another thing. Okay, so we have the bad camera work. Another thing I want to point out is the audio. When you get to the alarms, the whatever you want to call that, that was very crackly. Like the audio was way too loud as far as rendering goes. And then the explosions. I saw them. I didn't hear them anywhere, and I like obviously you're watching on my end. You're watching the video. My audio is muted, but like you can go watch it, and like the audio isn't there. I'd probably give this probably give it a 5.
A 5? I wouldn't go that far. I'd say it's
because there's the exposure, there's the audio, the camera work. Hey, what else is there to see?
the Yoda one.
Oh yeah.
We need to watch The Last Yoda. I mean, come on. It's The Last Yoda.
Here's The Last Yoda, a short film blender. All right, here we go. That was a meme.
There's a brand new
That was the most beautiful, amazing film I have ever watched. So critiques. First off, the story, immaculate. It is emotional and moving, and it's a story of nonsense. And the Kylo Ren and the Dark Ray, and
Was that Dark Ray? It came across to me as like Kylo Ren turned to light side, considering like the clones had like the white visors for some reason. Even though at the beginning of the thing they had regular visors.
And also, lightsaber phones.
I know. Okay, that was gonna be a critique of mine. It's like, why are they calling each other?
But lightsaber phones. Jared, think what this means. Lightsaber phones.
But they have hologram discs. Why do they need phones? I was gonna say that threw me off. That ruined my immersion. I don't know why Kylo Ren is in Mandalorian, because like Mandalorian is here. Like he exists. I don't know why Kylo Ren is flying around Mando's ship, hunting Yoda. And it's like here's what's happening. You have the Mandalorian who exists. His ship has been taken by Kylo Ren, who's using his ship to hunt down Yoda, who is being returned to the Mandalorian. What?
With a ship like that, if you're aimed down, you're gonna go down. You're gonna crash into the ground. See, this is the thing is they animate it like it's a helicopter, right? They like lean it forwards, which works for a helicopter because that's just how you move forwards. You have the big fan blades on the top. They pull you up, so you kind of gotta pull yourself up and forward. That's how helicopters work. But think about a jet. Like imagine if like the nose is down, but like the tail is up. It's not gonna go just forward. a helicopter would. It's gonna nosedive into the ground, which is something that I feel like I see a lot when when people animate stuff like this.
And it looks accurate to me. I'm not really phased by it. Like you tell me like, oh yeah, it lifts up like a helicopter. That doesn't make sense. I was like, and I'm over here like, yeah, that makes sense. That doesn't make sense. But at the same time, it looks like that is how Mandalorian ship lifts off or like how it maneuvers in the show.
Well, it shouldn't. But all jokes aside, I think it's fairly reasonable to assume that the dude who made this meant it purely as a meme.
Oh yeah, this is definitely a joke.
And it is beautiful. Yeah. Wait. Look at Kylo Ren's back. Look at his back.
Why does he have a rifle on it? Is that an LMG? Hold on. Bro, why do you have an LMG on your bag?
A Gatling gun. It's a modern Gatling gun, is what it is. It has like the drum and everything.
That's every machine gun is a modern Gatling gun.
Yeah, I know, but it has like the round drum.
Yeah. Honestly, I'd say the closest thing to a Gatling gun you can really get, other than a Gatling gun and a minigun, is a revolver. But am I wrong? Isn't a revolver just a handheld mini version of a Gatling gun?
I mean, yes.
Sorry,
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Anyway, so yeah.
Yes.
All the title cards, a lot of the stuff they were saying, I feel like they could have actually just shown in actions. I don't know why the ship is so Ripley, but it is. But
that's one thing I did notice. It was like at first I was like,
it's like it's sinking. It's like it's sinking into a water.
They added like the heat waves, and then it just
kept going. Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, come on.
Okay, this is a live action one. We haven't. Okay, how about this? We'll do 2 more that are live action, and then we'll do ours. Yeah, because we've only looked at animated ones so far.
Okay, that one's not bad. Here's the thing. Props to them for making their own costumes, right?
Yeah.
And doing it well. Those were some.
Yeah, the costumes look really good. I like the costumes.
And in terms of like cinematography and how they made it, pretty good. I could felt the idea like, just kind of honestly kind of like B-roll as we were listening to a transmission, right? That kind of was cool. The fight scene was a little janky.
The fight scene was terrible, just gonna be honest. It wasn't good at all.
Oh.
Like it just wasn't.
Jared, what if these people watched the video?
Constructive criticism. Okay, fine. I'll expound on why it was bad rather than just saying it was bad.
So here, the first thing you gotta do is you have to plan out your fight scene in advance, and then you have to practice it. Because like honestly, the thing that makes fight scenes cool, oftentimes, or not the thing, but a thing that can help your fight scenes immensely is speed. That's just all there is to it. If it's very fast, tight, and coordinated, it will always sell a little bit better. The other thing is you got to make sure you have to think through as if you were actually fighting. Because for instance, like the girl holding the staff,
she just stood there.
She kind of held it there. So like if you think about it, the Mandalorian could have easily got a saber and sliced her off. She wouldn't have had time to move because she was like holding it in one position. In addition to, it's not like he's gonna hit it in a couple times here, and he's gonna like pause and be like, okay, I'm going to deliberately move my saber around to the other side and then hit the stick from the other side. You just have to think about what makes the fight scene real. So it's obvious that as soon as one person got a chance to injure the opponent, they did.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Versus like being very careful to not actually touch their opponent until the very end.
Yeah, that's why I was very adamant. Almost like I wasn't really explicitly adamant, but like in the choreographing our thing was I do this. Where do we go from this initial motion? And then we go here, and then we go here, and then we speed that up to where it's like boom, 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 boom. And that way there's no, and anytime there was a space for there to be an injury, I would either find a way to get around it logistically, or I would just let us get injured in some way. Yeah, we can talk about our fight scene. I will point out problems with our fight scene when we get there, but let's go ahead and continue on this.
Well, I do have one thing. It applies here.
Mhm.
But there was one block in our fight scene where we choreographed your part, Jared, the Jedi, before we choreographed my other start points. You already had like the way you were gonna swing lined up, so we just get me running in and then dodging. Because let's say you're fighting a Sith and you're a Jedi, their sabers like they're wide open. You're gonna kill them. When it comes to a fight like this, you're gonna either kill them or figure out some way to defeat them, disarm them. So you're not just gonna like hang around and wait. Continuity was a little weird. You know, like, continuity is not the most important thing. If a glass jumps hands in a scene or something, it's not the end of the world.
Right.
But when you've got a lightsaber in your hand and it's turned on, and then all of a sudden that lightsaber's gone, or vice versa, I noticed both of those.
No.
Yeah. It looks like, it seems to me that they were very focused on the story, which I would have to go back and read, because like I had the subtitles turned on, because obviously this isn't in English. And I'll have to go back and read it just to be able to judge that properly. But just in mind that it seems like they were, with all the dialogue, they're really just focusing more so on the story part of it than they were on the actual fighting. So I'll just give them the benefit of the doubt that there was that one part at like 54 seconds ish where where he's looking around and he walks at the camera and there's no fade. It just he just kind of stands there and then it cuts. So I would have, in post, I would have put a fade there. I don't know what stuff he's using. It looks very simplistic, so he could just be piecing stuff together. So that's fine.
Yeah.
I do think he had, or I'm pretty sure the saber was an overlay.
I don't think so. I think so. I think that saber was an actual lightsaber. Because, and also, let's be fair. Like, okay, first off, this lightsaber looks really good. And like there's no way. Yeah, this is definitely a real lightsaber.
Yeah, looking at it again,
and it's reflecting off of him. This is definitely a real prop. Yeah, I was gonna say that if he's not doing like when he walks to the camera, there's no fade, and with the kind of jankiness of the cuts between stuff, it looks like he's really, honestly, not to insult him, but this could have all been filmed on a camera and then on like an iPhone and then just pieced together. Like he could have just taken the film, cropped it how he wanted, and then just spliced it together and called it a film, which is fine. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. That's a completely doable thing to do. He doesn't come off to have that technology, so I wouldn't. The overlay thing would be very odd if he was able to do that and not the other thing.
In terms of like constructive criticism for this guy, one of the things would be sure you plan your fight scene and get it faster. Practice, that's one thing. And then in addition, just practice filmmaking. Me and Jared are not, professional filmmakers. We're not the most amazing people in the world.
But we are educated. I will give that credit. We are educated.
I think I can speak for both of us when I say that we're both good on the theory side and like the overarching concepts.
So
we know how to
make
perfect VFX. I could tell you how to do it and what all goes into it. Can I actually do it? Well, I haven't had enough practice. So it doesn't matter if it's not good, and this is fine. Like honestly, Jared, if I were being completely honest, I would rather watch that than Retronym.
Oh yeah, Retronym was there's so many better things.
But anyways, our first film was far worse than that. And I'm guessing that's not your first film, but either way, it all comes from practice and learning.
This has 4 subscribers. This is probably the first thing. Let's look at this first before I make any assumptions. He uploaded something that's 6 seconds long a month ago, so he doesn't upload regularly. So he doesn't. So that tells me that he's not usually editing things, which also explains the fact that he probably doesn't have an editing software. Which again, that's fine. I'd probably say to work on the cutting together of things, because there was one part where Where is that? Oh yeah, it was at like 140 where he hits, and then there's like 5 seconds. There's like 5 seconds of them just standing there, and then it jump cuts to him backed up, and then he just comes back. So at 47 seconds, so there's that, which is just janky and not fluid and kind of ruins immersion on its own. So I'd work on, instead of, not to say cutting there was a bad idea, because obviously you realized that you were standing there and you didn't want to stay there, so you wanted to cut to something else. In that case, I would have cut to another angle and then kind of, and still have that hold and kind of like have one of you shove each other away or something. That way it goes from you holding to you not holding, but you can use that cut to break that connection rather than just doing a jump cut like this. Again, fight choreography, just practice, really. Honestly, I'd say practice out of practicality, not so much out of technicality. And what I mean by that is, oh, I'm a Jedi, I should be holding the lightsaber like this, and this is how they swipe. The first day we met at our site, and we filmed our choreography session. So what we did initially was that I showed him what I wanted to do, and we kind of went through it haphazardly. Just like, okay, this is what we want to do. And we did that for the first set, the first part before we kind of end that first encounter before we start circling around, and the guy in the clone is like, I am loyal to the Republic as you go to 66. We went all the way up to there and then practiced that over and over again. And we did manage on the first day to get through all the fight scenes, and we filmed per section what we wanted to do. And then when we finished all that, we left, we went home. And then for the next week or something, we basically were at home with the footage practicing what we had rehearsed together, because we don't see each other regularly. So we're like, okay, we'll meet here, practice our stuff, get an idea down on what we want to do. Because obviously, I'm thinking, and you'll see in the film, and I'll probably put in some excerpts here, where I basically swoop up from the left and down to my right. And that was what I was practicing on my own before we met. And I was just like, oh, I'll just do that and this and here and that. And then when we went to choreography, I was like, oh, we need to actually incorporate his motions into this. And that doesn't exactly allow for all of the motions that I'm doing. So we had to improvise around that. But at least, first off, when we were first working on a meeting, I had a general idea of what I wanted to do, because I figured, figuring out how I would actually be able to fluidly handle my saber, as well as being able to already have an idea without figuring it out on site. But we still had to practice while we were there, because we obviously had our costumes at that point, and it is kind of difficult to see in the helmet. So we did have to practice again.
Oh, that's an understatement.
So we had to practice. But we already had our process down. So all we had to do is just all he had to do, Stanton, was just improvise off of what he could see, but he already knew what he was doing. So we had that much. And then we just tried speeding up as much as we could, and then we just decided, okay, this is as fast as we can go, which was considerably fast, I mean, all things considered. So and then in post, if there was a time that lingered a little longer than we really wanted it to, I could just speed it up and it was fine. I didn't speed it up too much because I didn't want it to look like woo, but I sped it up enough to where it was faster. So practice beforehand, practice during, record your stuff. If you need to film on another day, then go ahead. We filmed on, what did we do? We filmed on 3 different days.
We had 3 film days and 1 rehearsal day.
Yeah.
Which we also filmed on just for practice.
Yeah. And we say 3 days. This was from 6:30 or 7, and then that gave us some prep time, and then we would film by 8, and then we'd be there till 10 or 11. That was pretty good. Did you finish?
That was pretty good.
I like it. What's your comment?
I mean, being a Star Wars nerd, I could tell what was going on, but it was a little all over the place and confusing, which I can tell is what you're going for. But so you have to be careful there. There's a point at which it's what I'm going for. It's you have to be careful with that. I think it was a little too chaotic. That being said, it was good, and I could tell what was going on. It was a little tricky, but I could tell what was going on. And also, the only like real like technical critique I have is on your compositing, which is just going to take a little bit of practice, getting your green screen to not look like it's green screen, which it's fine. And in a lot of shots, you nailed that. But then there were some where you could see the feather around, like when you blur the element that you're green screening and you kind of blur the edge to make it look a little better. You can do that a little too much, or you can do it like the opposite direction a little too much. So that happened a couple times.
Yeah, there's definitely that part at 15 seconds where he has that. I feel like the kind of dream sequence, like when he was on, like, I don't know if he was on Star Destroyer or something. Your green screen, I like how he kind of fixed that issue with the dramatic, like, blurring and kind of distortion. Because that does take care of the whole green screen edge problem, because we're too distracted with all the other things, so it works. And it's also not too distracting, so it's not.
Because here's what it comes down to with all of this in the end. In reality, it doesn't matter how good your visual effects are, and it doesn't matter how good your filmmaking is if it serves the story. And don't break your immersion. Don't like pull you out of the story. Who cares if they're bad? In this case, does it impact the story? No. Could it be better? Yeah. But does it really matter? No.
Not enough for me to care.
Yeah. It's not so obvious that everyone's gonna be like, oh yeah, that was green screen, man.
And even if someone were to go, oh, that's obviously green screen, like it's good green screen. So it's not to say. Yeah, go ahead.
In terms of the when I could tell it was a green screen, most people probably couldn't because they couldn't see green. That was the good thing. You did it well enough that you weren't showing any green, which that will break most people's immersion.
My mic just unplugged. Hold on. Hopefully it's good. Okay, maybe if the audio changed, then you know why my mic unplugged. So to your point about the green screen, because we noticed at the 15-second mark where you've got like that extra cloudy layer in front of him, and we, knowing our things, we know that's probably a green screen. I mean, to be fair, he is at an actual location, so at least I think so. Yeah, but okay.
That shot didn't really scream out to me as with the green screen, because I feel like that one specifically was a stylistic decision.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna go to.
There were other ones where I don't know if he was actually on a location. See, it seems like it. It kind of feels like he went to a location, but he had all the shots planned out. And so he got pictures of it, and then he did the actual filming in front of a green screen.
An easy way to do what you're describing, instead of, because the way I would have done it, I wouldn't have taken pictures of the location. I would have,
or videos there,
or videos, yeah. But in any case, I would have gone there, filmed all my stuff, as if there were those clones there, because obviously those clones are animated. Those are definitely not real world. Yeah. We know this. But what I would have done, and what he probably did, would be to film the location, film all his stuff, film the blank slates of where he would expect the clone to be or whatever, and then he would go into the animation program and green screen the clone in the program, and then he would just take that out and place it. So it's like almost reverse, where instead of filming something live in front of a green screen and pasting the person out of the green, he went into a program and just put green behind the clone in the program, and then took that footage, lined up where he wanted everything perfectly, because he already has the footage for reference, and he just green screened it out of the initial in animation render. I feel like that would have been a lot easier way to do it, and probably the way he actually did it, because it doesn't look.
It doesn't make sense. Yeah. Okay, can we do it? Do you want to just go ahead and move on?
Let's go ahead. Yeah, let's watch ours. So let's actually critique this though, like we've been critiquing the other ones. Yeah, obviously we joked about it, but some of the camera work was a little off. The force push thing obviously is a little whack. Yeah, because like I wanted it to. In my mind, I was thinking like I'd do a push motion, and then you would like kind of jump back or something more dramatically, but then you just kind of waltzed back, which in post I was watching it.
Well, okay, here's the thing. We had a plan for that. We were going to set up this makeshift wire pool.
That is true. Yeah, we were going to do that.
We were going to try and see if we could get some people to come and do that. So it's like we just did this placeholder one until we could get that, and then we forgot about it. We never did it.
The choreography, obviously I'm going to pander. Give context to the dialogue, because like you see in the credits how I listed down here voiceover by me, because the original audio was so bad. Like it's just most of it was just a constant.
The Empire, the Republic. The Republic became the Empire.
So I basically just cut all the audio out, all the original audio, and just overdubbed myself all the actual dialogue, which thankfully there wasn't that much, so it wasn't like there was a long enough time really to notice unless you just were paying attention. But yeah, so that's the reason for the overdub, which I didn't do for his last line. I just for his thank you. I just kept his. So I do want to credit that I did keep Stanton's thank you line in. I just edited it I edited around it to kind of try and reduce as much of the white noise as I could, plus all the crickets, because there were some cricket noises. To the fight scene back here, I do feel like the part where I swipe up and down disarming your batons, that felt a little weak, because you just kind of, because I did tell you to throw it, which did look better than what you were doing, but but the way you did it ended up looking a little more dancey rather than I lost my saber.
Okay, well, I'm a theater kid. Come on, man. You know that you know about my dancing issues. I asked you not to make fun of me for tap dancing on fight scenes.
Yeah, something as I watch all these short films, seeing it like as you see it, I've gotten into the mindset of watching this as I see it, and it just looks like we whack, and the choreography is weird, and then unless you're just really paying attention, then you really don't notice that I tried swinging and he blocked me, quote unquote, and that's why I lost the saber. But first time through, it just looks like I kind of threw it for some reason, and then he grabs the knife. He does that whole thing. That I feel like the knife scene was pretty good.
The knife is my favorite part. Like, just in general. I mean, obviously, it doesn't look as flashy as the rest because there's not the saber effects.
Right.
But I think it's really cool, and I loved doing it. It was my favorite part to perform as an actor.
The masking, okay, at the end, the masking when I'm sitting you down, that obviously...
I forgot to mask it.
Yeah, that obviously could have been a little better, but...
I forgot that shot existed. I forgot I animated on that. Not to insult you, Jared, but the audio was a little...
Oh, yeah, definitely I do acknowledge that the overdub audio was a little, some of it would mute itself for some reason.
It was quiet. I couldn't really hear it or understand it. That's something a lot of people in my family have mentioned too. But there was that, and then also, being completely honest, your second "aren't I?"
The intensity.
I really did undersell your "aren't I?" because your "aren't I?" was really good.
Aren't I? Aren't I?
This is one thing, with acting in general, that's just one of the most important lessons an actor can learn, is that you just have to commit, and you have to be not worried about looking like an idiot. In general, I'm proud of this because a lot of times, again, we've mentioned it a couple times, our other short film that we did, Retronym, this is leaps and bounds ahead of it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm extremely proud of this film because we made a bunch of progress. Now, Jared, in years, me and you are going to look at this and we're going to cringe very hard.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what it comes down to. Are you improving? Are you getting better? And I think we are. And I think we made a better film.
You learn what you learn, you don't learn what you don't learn, and you just hope to learn the things you didn't learn. All right, so this was just, I do want to re-clarify, restate that we are not official judges for this competition or any competition ever, that are just reviewing some of the short films that came out for this competition so far. And obviously we didn't cover all of them in a 2-hour or 3-hour period. So I think we covered a lot. I think we were able to point out a bunch of various things. We were impressed by a lot. We were not impressed by others. But hopefully some of this stuff will either get back to the original creators and they can look at this and hopefully be like, okay, yeah, I'll take note. Or look back at some of this and be like, okay, that was good stuff and I want to like mimic it in some way, like for the things that were good. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. This is obviously, unless you're just blind, this is Comical Coconut. And I am here with Rock On Studios, aka Stanton Smith, who is on this part and that part and that part. I am here. Anna Grace doesn't appear anywhere. She didn't join us because we didn't invite her.
Yeah, if you guys enjoyed this, please hop over and check out my channel. Not to plug myself.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, completely to plug myself. Rock On Studios on YouTube. Link will be in the description, right, Jared?
Of course, yep.
If you enjoy this kind of stuff, go ahead and hop over to my channel. I do filmmaking stuff and music. So yeah.
Anyway, I'm on YouTube. Obviously, I'm technically on Twitch. I don't really use Twitch very often, but same username. And I'm on Instagram as, what am I on Instagram as? Comical Coconut _official, as well as just Comical Coconut _YT. So yeah, have fun with the rest of whatever day or night y'all are enjoying yourself with.
Being constructive and all that this whole time. I am going to tear into ours.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And
I'm doing the same thing.
Absolutely wreck it, and like everything we could have done at all better.
Okay, how about this? How about we do what we've been doing? We both watch it, and then I'll just review it first, and then we'll just end on.
I was talking about. I'm gonna go like a list. I'm gonna go like if I'm watching it now. Okay. Camera shakes. That's the problem.
You're just gonna call out everything, aren't you?
The little natural with this jib. Okay. Camera shook. That was a perfectly good move. Other than that, camera kind of jittered on the way down. That's bad.
Why are we spending so long on the hill?
Why is it moving in? Why does the clone look scared? Okay.
That was the weakest force push I've ever seen.
Where did those sabers come? Oh my gosh, that mask.
That guy could have stashed him there, but
you can just see where it is. I can't understand a word he's saying.
He sounds like he's in a tin can.
Jumping around. What's with that? Oh, the masking again. Oh, that's not great. Oh, for once, good. Oh wait, but it was covering it.
So he kicks him.
And
woobity woo.
Yeah.
Woobity woo.
I'm asking.
Whack.
Asking again.
What?
Oh,
there's a knife. What? Where did this come from?
Okay.
I guess clones do have knives sometimes.
Oh, the force. He's got his.
Okay, he's got the force. Okay, he's definitely.
Even
in this. He just gets punched. Okay.
That was so lame.
And now the clone's on top.
Wait, why was it already extended when he called it to his hand? Oh, and of course, the gas just appeared out of nowhere.
Since when in the Star Wars universe?
Hold on. Come on.
Since when in the Star Wars universe has there been blood when someone gets sliced with a lightsaber? It's always like frozen, almost like immediately callous.
Oh my gosh, the way it jumps, that is. Oh.
That's inaccurate.
I can't understand what he's saying.
That man's mouth didn't even move with the words.
What he's saying at this moment. The plot is completely unknown.
Is that the same voice actor? Hold on. What? I swear these are the same voices.
And the music just starts to get all heroic as the bad guy
notice
gets
the shoe wasn't tied? What's happening?
Yeah. That could have used a little more acting. Oh,
This guy
we
was
see
very
the
annoying.
dowel as it extends. Wow, that's so great.
Okay.
Okay, that shot's kind of cool.
Really going ham on the Jedi.
Oh, they're just not making,
They
barely
missed
making
the
contact.
hit.
Oh, and we
then-
don't even see the stab.
gets-
Of course
He had a motion
we
of giving him a
don't.
wedgie, but they pass it off as him getting stabbed. All right, okay, I'll buy it.
I forgot.
masked
The
out,
VFX artist forgot to mask on that shot.
Oh, don't
so
take
the
his
saber
helmet. Why
just
are you taking his
overlaid on
helmet
top.
off? That's okay. Well, That is not the same voice.
That
You hear
dude
that
looks like
whisper?
Edward
that did not
Scissorhands
match the other
with those
voice from
eyes.
earlier. He's closing
Come
his eyes.
on.
What? He doesn't miss his eyesight. He's dead. It's not like he's.
Oh, and the cars in the background. Of course, the flashing lights. Oh, sorry, those aren't cars. Those are.
There is a voiceover.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to talk to you.
We both have open heads.
So,
And then he shows up being like, I've killed the predator. I was a robot for a while, and now I'm going to watch you kindergartners.
yeah.
Has a sub.